Record. Hey everyone, this is Tasha, and I'm the founder of Emerge Sales Trading and the Christian Network Marketers community. And today we have a cool topic that came up in our Facebook group about, it started with a conversation about what are your challenges in praying for your business? And the topic that came up of, is it selfish to pray for our business because money, is associated with being worldly? And that becomes a rub for people. So I have Missy and Eddie here. They are on the Emerge team. And if you want to just take a second and introduce yourself. Eddie, if you want to go first.
Sure. My name is Ed Oram, Eddie Oram. My friends call me Eddie. I've been with Emerge for a little over a year. And I just feel like God brought me here for a purpose. A lot of these purposes have come out just recently, as far as our giving and our giving of our time and our talents to bring hope to so many, not only of our students but to other organizations around the world. And I just love being here and just happy to be part of this organization.
Cool. Missy, and tell us a little bit about why this topic is important to you too.
Yeah, so I'm Missy Eck. Thanks for having me, Tasha. I'm one of the coaches, new business development, where like we all do, we all wear a lot of hats here at Emerge. And I am super passionate about how business and wealth relates to what we can do out in the world to help some of God's most vulnerable children. And we'll share more today, but I have some causes that are dear to my heart. I've recently been to the field. And so I am excited to talk about this because I think it's really important for us to always pray for our business. So happy to be here.
Awesome. So the first question that I have for the two of you, you actively go out and serve in the field with your time. And so I want to say thank you for you guys to make those sacrifices. What would you say, based on your travels, you can maybe tell us where you've been and what projects you've worked on? What is their greatest need?
Go first, Eddie. It's fine.
Well, both money and our talents and our efforts and our networking skills. Seeing a need and being able to fill that need with our influences of our networks, and to be able to bring those people in to come alongside us and the people we serve to help better their lives.
Yeah, I would agree. Number one, money. Sounds silly, but it's money. I was just in Uganda, and there are two specific projects that have been ready to go. One is related to water. One is related to a surgical center for healthcare, and they're ready. They just need money. And surprisingly, it's not a lot. It's a lot, but in our terms, in American terms, it's not, but absolutely 100% money. And then compassion and love and caring that we give to them when we're there and through the support.
Sure. So what does wealth have to do with all of this? This question of, is earning right? So in network marketing, there is this unlimited income potential.
Mm-hmm.
Is pursuing that selfish?
Not at all.
Not if you have a purpose behind it. If it's for your own personal gain, and that is all it is. But I don't think anybody in this group probably comes from that perspective. But I think if you have a purpose for why you want and need that wealth to give to others and help others, then it's absolutely the right mindset to be in.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Is it cool if I share like a pivotal moment that I had when I was young on this topic?
Yeah.
Please.
So I feel silly even uttering this. I was 16 when Schindler's List came out.
We won't name
as I get death glares from Eddie.
The oldest and the second oldest on the team. Right?
Yeah. And so we went and saw the movie, And I mean, it was horrifying, right? Like all Nazi Germany. And there's a scene at the end that I think just got tattooed in my brain. So Schindler was an extremely wealthy man, and he used his resources to save people from the concentration camps. And there's this scene at the end where he looks at his car, and I don't remember the exact things, and he says, that car, that could have been X people. This ring, that could have been this many people. This, so like he looked around at his possessions and said, this thing here could have been saved the lives of this many people. And although he had saved hundreds or thousands, I mean, some ridiculous amount, he was weeping at the end of the movie. And that really struck me as a paradigm shift for wealth. And kind of, it's just something that I've carried with me, because you know, we are so wealthy. And, you know, Eddie, you talk about wealth not being just money in the bank. And I mean, obviously we want to be responsible and save and do things like save for college and retirement. And that has nothing to do with that. But gosh, I always just think about the question of, you know, for those that ask the question, you know, is earning money selfish? Have you ever written a monster tithe check? Like, have you ever had a huge check and had the joy of sending that on? That is something that is truly remarkable. And I mean, I think that was a huge defining moment for me. And I feel very blessed to have been able to, you know, do some of that in the course of my life.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's and if you can find that joy in your heart that comes from giving, then you are driven to just make even more of it, more money. Because you, I mean, and it, I guess maybe that's a little selfish, right? Because it brings us joy, but just knowing what that amount, that's just 10% even of what we have, or whatever it is that you can give. You know, I even just recently gave up eating sushi once a week so we could sponsor more children. Right. And that's nothing to give up.
Right.
Just, you know, but when, you know, on a smaller scale or on a big scale, it's just, it's a joyful thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah. What else would you guys like to share on the topic? I know you have a lot of thoughts, and I can tell you're kind of holding back.
I keep looking at my
well, maybe we can share just a little bit. I mean, Eddie and I are doing different things, different ways of supporting actual work in the field. So, Eddie, do you want to share? You're more boots on the ground. You know, do you want to share kind of what you do out there?
Yeah, my aha moment, I guess you would say, or my Schindler's List moment, was I actually went on a missions trip to Oaxaca, Mexico, and I was talking to a young pastor, a young Zapoteco pastor. And through our conversation, he said, "Hey, do you want to go meet up some coffee farmers up in the hills?" This is about 14 years ago. And so I asked my church group, "Hey,
Oh no, we lost Eddie.
and this moment when the man was talking about how he's losing his children, and his young men are leaving the areas because I can't support them, and so I'm we're all big time family people. We just are all about family. And when I see these people's families being broken apart because of finances and lack of the ability to create an income, a solid income, I said, this is unacceptable. I need to get involved. And from that point on, I've been involved with coffee farmers throughout all of Central America, through Oaxaca, Honduras, and soon to be moving into Nicaragua and Guatemala. So it was like life-changing. I was literally weeping, like, oh my gosh, this guy, this is unacceptable. And so, we can get into political stuff as far as, immigration and all that. I know I'm not, but what I'm saying is why they want to stay together as a family. So let's go to the source. Don't sit here on this, wherever you're at, crying like, oh, whatever this or that. Go there and see what their needs are, and it will change your life.
Yeah.
I'll kind of piggyback. I think that was interesting perspective just from people, and there's all kinds of giving, right? We can give domestically, we can give abroad. It's just the fact is that the most extreme poverty is not in this country, believe it or not. I mean, we've got some abilities to do some things here,
Yes.
but I think it's just gaining that conviction and being not okay with the fact that other people don't have the most basic things that we need. We're not, like with the organization I'm with, World Vision, that I do a lot with, we're not trying to get them like water right into their home and TVs and like houses. We're just trying to get them basic needs, water, so their children under 5 are not dying at the rate of one in every 5 children. We're trying to get them education, health care, so women are not dying in labor, immunizations, things that we would not find acceptable for any of our children or anybody we know. And so I think it's just being convicted about that.
Yeah.
It's been really,
as you're talking, I'm thinking of that, living water, just Jesus, speaks of, and it's like when we go there and it's pretty much water. It's water, water, water. And you said, we have the same issues down in Central America. Kids who are under 5 are just dying from parasites from drinking dirty water. And we have the ability and the technology to make that, clean.
right.
We just need the resources, which is money, and talents and time to get there.
Yeah.
People that know how to implement these systems down there. But yeah, you can't do it without the funds. And, and I'm going to go and kind of go off on a little tangent here. I shared earlier, recently I saw a talk on gospelpatrons.org, and there's John Lennox. He's the Oxford professor of mathematics. And he brought up the word, how we are to be gospel patrons. And patron comes from a Latin word pater, which means father. And that's where the gospel starts, with the generous patronage of God the Father himself, pouring his resources onto us. And then it led me to Ephesians 2:10, where we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. We were created for good works. And God prepared beforehand, before time even began, that we should walk in those works. We should be in them. And so whether it be you're in the background financing these, somebody's praying in another country that's causing God to say, hey, Tasha, Ed, Missy, you need to give over here and put it on our hearts. And then we do that. It's this bi-directional, or almost like a circle of life, I guess I should say. But it's this moment where we are all interconnected through God the Father. And I just love that we can walk in his before time began. We can walk in his ways.
Yeah, it's funny you said
that. When you do that, it's so awesome.
It's funny to edit, that we talk about the plan and, God's plan. I think that I've been involved with World Vision for several years now. Tasha's been involved with World Vision since, childhood, right? Like you guys always did sponsor kids and knew about World Vision. And so when I was praying for my next chapter, when I was at my previous job, part of it is, God knows who I am and God knows what I do. And so I think it's just an interesting puzzle that he put me somewhere where everything I do and every penny that I earn, I know is also getting to go towards a charity. Like it's just this synergy between the people that he puts together is so amazing. Yeah.
It's cool. So I think something you mentioned, Eddie, was roles. So I made a comment right before we started recording about me being here in the cheap seats, and you almost jumped through the screen. So can you give a little bit of your perspective? And then Missy, you and I went to the World Vision conference. We had the honor of doing that this past, it was March? Yeah.
February, March, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And our different responses to that, I think is relevant to this conversation about, is being successful in business selfish?
No. And I'm going to say no. When you said the cheap seats, the reason I wanted to jump through that's the screen is that no, Your God-given talent is to make money. He gave you that talent, and but he also wants you not to squander it. It's for his glory, his kingdom building. And I think it says in Deuteronomy 8:17, beware lest you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten this wealth. No, God gave you that power. Everything comes through God the Father. And when it does that, and when you realize that, it's like you're giving, you're just so focused on him, not where it's going. It's like basically just flowing through you. All you are is a funnel to bring glory to him. Because you're his good workmanship.
Yeah, thanks for the ego boost.
Absolutely. Yep.
Great. I thought I had something going for me.
Well,
you're in God's will.
Yeah. And
that is huge.
You have the ability to start a company, and I'm
joking.
So we're not going to like pump up, but you should be pumped up because you give generously, and that's why God is blessing everything around us. But I would say, so with the Every Last One conference we went to, if you know Tasha, she's not a wooer. I'm like Miss hey, and let me meet everybody. And I only have my own individual wealth, which is not like super, millions of dollars or anything. So I can give and tithe what I can. But my gift is influencing, and my gift is asking others for money and all of that. Tasha owns a company. And so, we just talked a lot about that. But what I was thinking about is you asked me to kind of think about that perspective is you were convicted to go back and make more money. I was convicted to go to the field and also work hard. But I also just remembered that, that at that conference, they're also looking to network with you and help you grow your business. And this is the world's largest Christian organization, humanitarian organization. And I just met with a World Vision person locally, and they, again, how can we help you grow your business? So they know that God's working through people who are giving. I mean, it's not a bad thing to grow your business and grow your wealth, because you are, because they know that you have a heart for this cause. So is there anything else you wanted me to share about that conference, or what were your takeaways from it?
Well, first of all, I think my takeaways from it was interesting. First of all, when I got the invitation, I was like, are you trying to find, what is this? And, we had that experience, and I went in and I looked around the room and I was like, why did they invite a child to be here? And I remember sharing that with you. I think, 99% of the room was at least 20 to 30 years older than me, just a very different place in life. And so the first thing I think that I would like to share with everyone, that if this is something that you are passionate about, serving God, there is no age at which it needs to be, right? Like, it's not when I'm older. I think a lot of the folks, that might struggle with this are probably in my age range. I'll be 38 next week. And that was the first thing. And I mean, our responses were so different, right? We sat at the same thing, and you were like, you had this like sparkle in your eyes. Like, I want to go hug everyone. And I just had this general look of pissed offness. Right? Like
our poor guy that was kind of our handler, but our representative, kind of our host. Yeah, he couldn't figure you out.
No, not at all. And I just had this general look of pissed offness, and we went back to the room, and I wrote a workshop.
How can I make more money?
Yeah.
Right.
And because it was just like unacceptable to me to think that children were dying because of water. I mean, that's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And at the rate that people were doing it. And so my response was, like, I don't know if I love sharing this, but the moment I was like, am I a philanthropist?
You are a philanthropist. It sounds
And
like a big word.
It's such a big word, right? I can't even say it. So how could I be one? And the reason I bring that up is not to talk about what we've done, because I'm staring right at the scripture on my screen about not doing that, but it's that anybody can be in a flash. And it was not something that I explicitly set out to do at this time, but when we actually, I remember earlier, I kept getting these messages. What are you doing that God keeps blessing your business? Like, I can see God blessing your business. What are you doing? And I was like, I mean, just the basics, like pray for it. Like, I'm just like a good rule follower when it comes to the Bible, right? So like tithes and offerings, and pray and look for wisdom and try to, make godly decisions. And that was pretty much it. And I think that, gosh, if all the Christians in the world that own a business, traditional like mine, or network marketing like our students and our clients, could approach it that way, I think that,
gosh,
yeah,
we could end these issues.
We could end the issues, right? Like when we were able to just be like, we just built a well.
Yeah. You can level the playing field with so little. I mean, even if every Christian network marketer tied 10%, we'd be done. Like it'd be done.
It'd be over.
It would be nothing. I mean, but and I think I say that to, we talk, Tasha, you own your own business, but I think just encouraging anybody from the get-go, whether you're making $200, a week, or 20, whatever it is, start doing that, and just do it from that place of conviction, and don't feel guilty about, it's just, it's powerful. I mean, I could just talk for hours on this stuff, but when we just were in the field, just not being okay, and then coming back here was like a weird reentry to everything that we have. And one thing they said was, just don't come back and feel bad about everything you have. Come back and just work harder to do more to help, others, and be convicted in that. So is Eddie back with us, or is he's looking perplexed?
He's lost.
Oh, Eddie.
I have, as a business coach, I have to add something about goal setting. Oh, we lost Eddie completely.
He'll come back in.
Yeah. And so one of the things that we teach in our leadership courses is it is important to keep a profit and loss. It is important to have a profitable business. And I had a client who was just like not feeling like her network marketing business was 100% connected to her overall mission to help high schoolers. And so I challenged her to shift her tithes and offerings specifically for her business, her network marketing business, specifically toward supporting programs for youth in that area. And in a flash, everything changed for her, because she realized that every time she worked, it wasn't pulling away from her mission. It was contributing to her mission. And so I wrote down a question, which maybe, for those of you that are struggling with this, the goal, right? So like we would advocate, say, okay, let's make sure you have a profit goal on a monthly, quarterly basis, watch your P&L, be a responsible business owner, right? Good stewards type stuff, Proverb stuff, But if you're struggling with this, change the question to how much can I earn versus how much can I give? So let's say you're making, $1,500 in your business, and you're getting stuck around, gosh, if I made 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, that would be so like indulgent, right?
Yeah.
Well, you could just switch the goal to be, well, gosh, if you earn $20,000 a month, just the tithe would be 2,000. How much water could we do with that?
Right. Well, back to your Schindler's List car analogy. I think in those terms all the time. Like if we go on an extravagant dinner, I'm like, oh, that was 3 kids that could have water, but thinking about that. And I mean, I'll admit that I have goals working at this company. We have goals here, right?
Yeah.
Sales. Right. So it helps me in the morning or at the beginning of each week to think about and pray about hitting my goals, not just for me to pay my mortgage, but me to also think about how much we can do with that money and knowing that that's going to something. So it's like almost doubling because I know the company's doing it and then I get to do it too. So, personally tithe out of the money I make. So yeah, I like that focus and I think it works for me personally.
Yeah. And so as we wrap up here, is there any encouragement, Missy, that you want to give to our network marketing friends who have this unlimited potential that are struggling with this as we wrap up?
Yeah, I would say find a purpose for your business. And obviously if it's money, just put a name to it, put something on your heart that drives you to work hard and know that with that unlimited potential that you can do so much good. And we've talked a lot about specific projects, but find something to tie your business to that's meaningful and giving and works for God's kingdom.
Awesome. My encouragement is a verse from Colossians, and it's, maybe it's Colossians. Maybe I'm totally killing it, but the one around.
I'm not the one to check you on it.
Yeah. All right. Good. Well, somebody in the group will check me. So I'm just disclaimer that I think it's Colossians. Whatever you do, work as if you're working for God. And so where do we get stuck? I believe that a lot of these thoughts, they're just straight up lies. It's the love of money, not the earning of money. Solomon was David, right? These are all people that were like with God and like they were wealthy, but they were pursuing God first. Yeah. And all of those things just kind of were a byproduct. And so if this is a belief system you have, I would encourage you to read the Bible and see what it says about this particular topic. I have a screen over here, there's 27 verses on helping widows and orphans that just pulled up in a Google search.
Mm-hmm.
And, but like defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Like that is what we can do. And if we have a business, then we have an opportunity to serve within that. And if you're feeling otherwise, those are likely not from God. So the first prayer I would recommend is to ask God what he thinks about this.
Yeah. I was going to say, just pray on it. What do you want for my business? Because that's the clearest answer you're going to get. And I know we do a lot of praying around here at Emerge, for clarity and direction and divine appointment and all of the things, because that is the ultimate, that's how we're going to be successful, because that's the plan, as Eddie so eloquently said earlier. But there's a huge responsibility in it too. So be prepared, because when your business is blessed, Luke 12:48, again, I'm not a scripture person, but just to whom much is given, much is expected. So it is a responsibility, but it's a cool, awesome responsibility to have. So go out there and, make as much as you can for the glory of God is kind of the way I would wrap it up.
Yep. Right on. All right, cool. Well, if wherever you're seeing this video, if you want to leave a comment or if you want to reach out to us and let us know if this was helpful for you. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, let us know what you guys are supporting out there. Would love to know. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me and Eddie.
Oh, Eddie left us. I'm sure he'll be back.
All right, Tasha.
All right, thanks. I'm going to end the recording now.